Heroes of Might and Magic, Olden Era. If you miss the days when strategy games were more than just a genre and felt like a real art form, then Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era is exactly what you have been waiting for. This is not just another remake or mobile spin-off. This is a full-scale return to what made the original games legendary. The game brings back everything that made the classics great: deep turn-based combat, meaningful exploration, complex resource management, and that feeling of building something powerful from nothing. It is a spiritual successor to Heroes of Might and Magic 3, and it is proud of that legacy. Visually, the game mixes modern lighting with old-school pixel charm. Maps are handcrafted. Each town has its own identity, and every battle feels like a chess match with dragons. The music brings back epic fantasy vibes, not just sound design, atmosphere. But what really sets Olden Era apart is the philosophy behind it. The developers are lifelong fans. They understand why this series meant so much, and they are building this game not for trends, but for the people who still believe strategy can be beautiful. With a deep, single-player campaign, a map editor, and full mod support, Olden Era could be the game that finally brings turn-based strategy back to the top in 2025. Commandos Origins. There are strategy games, and then there is Commandos, a name that defined tactical stealth for an entire generation. In 2025, the series is finally coming back with Commandos Origins, and this time, it is not just a reboot. It is a full-scale prequel that explores how the legendary squad first came together. The game brings back classic real-time tactics gameplay, small, elite squads, behind enemy lines, no base building, no endless grinding. Just pure high-tension stealth missions where every move counts. You control a group of specialists, a sniper, a sapper, a spy, a diver, each with their own skills, and success means knowing exactly how and when to use them. Visually, the game takes a massive leap forward. Environments are fully 3D, but designed from a top-down tactical view. You can rotate the map, zoom in on key areas, and take full control of line of sight. It looks modern, but it feels like classic Commandos. The story is set in World War II and goes deeper than ever before. You see the origins of each character, their personalities, their conflicts, and what brought them together to become the most elite unit in covert warfare. For fans of real-time tactics, this game is a dream come true. And for new players, it is a perfect introduction to one of the most intelligent subgenres in strategy gaming. Commandos Origins might be the game that puts tactical thinking back on the map. Stronghold Crusader Definitive Edition. If you have ever played a real-time strategy game with castle-building mechanics, chances are, Stronghold Crusader. It was a classic, a true legend of the early 2000s. And now, in 2025, it is coming back with Stronghold Crusader Definitive Edition. Not just a visual upgrade, but a complete rebuild of everything that made the game unforgettable. The core gameplay remains. You build your own castle, you manage your economy, you train your army, and you defend against massive sieges that test every wall and every arch. But now it looks sharper, plays smoother, and feels better than ever. The new edition comes with remastered visuals, updated unit animations, rebalanced AI, and most importantly, a refined user interface that finally feels modern without losing its charm. There are also new missions, extra scenarios, and a custom campaign editor that allows you to create your own brutal siege challenges. But what makes Stronghold Crusader stand out even now is its atmosphere. Desert landscapes, medieval Arabic and European factions, Crusader lords with their own personalities and tactics. The game captures the clash of cultures in a way that feels epic and grounded at the same time. This is more than just nostalgia. This is a love letter to the era when strategy games had personality, when every decision mattered. Stronghold Crusader Definitive Edition might not reinvent the genre, but it reminds us why we fell in love with it in the first place. And in 2025, that alone makes it a must-play. Knights of the Crusades. Knights of the Crusades is a brand new historical strategy game that aims to combine realism with deep tactical gameplay. While many games touch on the Crusades as a theme, this title dives in headfirst. It offers a brutal, grounded, and historically inspired experience that focuses on the complexity of medieval warfare and diplomacy. This is not a fantasy game. There are no spells, no dragons, no magic. What you get instead is a richly detailed map of the Middle East, fully dynamic campaigns, and dozens of historical factions ranging from European knightly orders to local dynasties and tribes, each with their own goals, their own politics, and their own vision of victory. Gameplay is split between real-time battles and strategic map control. You will need to manage supplies, fortify key strongholds, make alliances, and launch sieges with limited manpower. Every soldier counts. Every decision echoes across the battlefield. It is punishing, but rewarding. What makes Knights of the Crusades so impressive is its commitment to authenticity. Weapons and armor are historically accurate. Morale plays a huge role, and even the weather can change the tide of battle. Sandstorms, desert heat, nightfall ambushes. Every variable adds depth and tension. The game also features a branching campaign where your moral choices shape the world around you. Do you fight for faith or for power? Do you burn villages or try to build trust? In a world torn by war, there are no easy answers, only consequences. Broken Arrow. Broken Arrow is the game that modern military strategy fans have been waiting for. It is massive, it is realistic, and it is bold enough to go head-to-head with giants like Wargame and Command & Conquer generals, but it brings something fresh to the table. A fusion of real-time tactics and large-scale army building with cinematic presentation and deep customization. Set in a near-future military conflict between NATO and Russia, Broken Arrow gives you access to over 200 units. Tanks, helicopters, infantry, airstrikes, you name it. Every unit has multiple loadouts, armor types, and upgrades. You do not just build an army, you craft a strategy. What makes this game special is its modular army creation system. Before a battle, you build your own battle group, choosing from 7 military categories: logistics, infantry, support, vehicles, helicopters, planes, and navy. This means no two players bring the same tools to the field. Every match feels different, and tactics evolve constantly. The battlefield itself is dynamic and alive. You fight across forests, cities, mountains, bridges, and every environment matters. Line of sight, cover, terrain elevation, weather effects, all of it can turn the tide. This is not just click and shoot. It is a thinking man's war. Broken Arrow also features a cinematic camera mode, letting you watch the chaos unfold like a movie. Explosions feel weighty. Jets roar across the sky. Soldiers take cover behind burning vehicles. The attention to detail is stunning. Crown of Greed. Crown of Greed is not your typical medieval strategy game. It is a dark, twisted take on the politics of power. Imagine if Crusader Kings had a baby with Game of Thrones, but played like a hybrid of grand strategy and real-time betrayal. That is Crown of Greed in a single sentence. The game is set in a low fantasy world torn apart by ambition. You play as a noble house, one of many, each with their own twisted history, their own secrets, their own bloodlines. Your goal is not just to win battles, it is to survive the politics, the lies, the assassinations, and the hunger for the crown. The map is enormous and fully dynamic. Alliances are fragile, war is constant, and your reputation matters. Every action you take echoes across the realm. Poison a rival, marry into power, bribe the church, or burn it all to the ground. This is a sandbox of schemes and consequences. Gameplay blends turn-based planning with real-time execution. You decide what to do in secret and then watch the chaos unfold. Your plans might succeed, or they might backfire spectacularly. That is part of the thrill. Visually, Crown of Greed uses a gritty, realistic style. Castles feel cold and brutal. Forests are full of danger. Faces are expressive and sometimes terrifying. It is not meant to look heroic. It is meant to look human, flawed, desperate, real. This game is not about building empires. It is about keeping your head on your shoulders while everyone else wants to take it. Dark Moon. Dark Moon is a sci-fi strategy game with a unique twist. It does not take place on Earth or on Mars. It is set on the far side of the moon, where a massive corporate war is unfolding in complete secrecy. No aliens, no heroes, just greed, power, and survival in a place where no one can hear you betray your allies. You control a private faction fighting for resources and control in the shadows of lunar craters. The game mixes base building, resource extraction, espionage, and sabotage. This is not about building the biggest army. It is about knowing when to strike and who to trust, and when to stab them in the back. Every structure you place consumes oxygen and power. Every soldier you deploy needs life support. The moon is not your friend. It is a silent enemy. You fight not only your rivals, but also the environment. Solar storms, meteor showers, radiation, everything can kill you if you are not careful. The gameplay is real-time, but slow and tactical. You scout with drones, set up hidden outposts, cut enemy supply lines, and intercept transmissions to gain an edge. Fog of war is real and terrifying, because sometimes silence means death is coming. The art style is cold and minimalistic, but beautiful. Black skies, harsh shadows. The surface of the moon feels lonely, unforgiving, but strangely peaceful until the fighting starts. Dark Moon is a strategy game for thinkers, for planners, for players who enjoy paranoia as much as power. Lessaria Fantasy Kingdom Sim. If you ever dreamed of ruling your own fantasy kingdom, not as a warlord, but as a builder and leader, then Lessaria Fantasy Kingdom Sim is exactly what you have been waiting for. It is not about constant battles. It is about building something that lasts, something that feels alive. In Lessaria, you start with a small village in a vast, magical world. Your job is to turn it into a thriving kingdom. You control every aspect, from housing to food to diplomacy. You assign jobs, you manage taxes, You pass laws, and you shape the culture of your people. What makes Lessaria so special is the depth of its simulation. Your citizens are not just numbers, they have emotions, beliefs, needs, and they react to how you rule. Raise taxes too high, and they rebel. Ignore magic, and you might anger ancient spirits. The world feels reactive, personal, and full of surprises. You can choose to expand through peaceful trade or military conquest, but violence is not the only path. You can become a kingdom of scholars, a religious empire, or a haven for outcasts. The choices are yours, and every playthrough feels completely different. The art is colorful but grounded. Buildings evolve as your kingdom grows, forests shift, seasons change, festivals bring joy, plagues bring fear. You are not just watching a game, you are watching a world that breathes. Lessaria is perfect for fans of Banished Rimworld or The Settlers, but it adds fantasy, story, and heart. Whiskerwood. At first glance, Whiskerwood looks like a cozy, cartoonish strategy game about animals building villages. But do not let the art style fool you. Beneath the charming visuals lies a deep and surprisingly challenging strategy experience that mixes city building with survival and political intrigue. You play as the leader of a woodland faction. Foxes, owls, rabbits, or raccoons. Each species has its own strengths, weaknesses, and cultural traits. You must grow your village, gather resources, build defenses, and deal with rival clans who may want peace or war, or something in between. What makes Whiskerwood unique is the emotional depth of its characters. This is not just about numbers. Your villagers have loyalty, memory, and feelings toward you and each other. If you send someone to fight and they return injured, their family may start to resent you. If you form a peace treaty, some may see you as a coward. Every action has weight, and stories emerge naturally. The seasons change. Weather affects crops and morale. Wildfires can burn down your forest. Winters are brutal, and resources are never enough. You are constantly forced to make hard choices. Who do you feed? Who do you protect? And what are you willing to sacrifice for survival? Visually, the game is gorgeous. Hand-painted animations, warm lighting, and expressive characters, but it never loses the tension underneath, because even in a cute world, power, fear, and survival still rule. Whiskerwood is like Frostpunk dressed as Animal Crossing, and that is what makes it brilliant. Fall of an Empire. Fall of an Empire is not about building an empire. It is about watching it collapse and trying to survive the aftermath. This is a rare kind of strategy game, one that puts you not at the peak of power, but at the end of it, when systems are failing, borders are falling, and trust is gone. You take control of a small province on the edge of a dying superpower. Once rich, now starving. Once loyal, now desperate. Your job is to keep your people alive, to rebuild what you can, and to decide whether you want to restore the old empire, or let it burn and rise as something new. Gameplay blends turn-based politics with real-time crisis management. You deal with refugees, rebels, shortages, riots, and rival warlords. Every choice pulls you deeper into chaos. Do you tighten control or give people freedom? Do you hold elections or declare martial law? Every path has a cost. The world is dark, gritty, full of history and tension. Factions remember your past actions. The Empire's legacy hangs over every town. Monuments crumble, soldiers desert, roads fall apart. But from the ruins, new ideas begin to grow. New leaders, new alliances, new ideologies. Fall of an Empire is not about easy victories. It is about difficult decisions, slow progress, and moral gray zones.